immigrants in the workplace. I think over the last few weeks and months, probably since the November election, we have all faced fear and uncertainty in a way that we hadn't done before. California has always been the state that leads, and in this moment we will continue to lead the country with the values of our residents. I want to talk to you a little bit about who I am and my story and the workers that are behind me. I am the daughter of once undocumented farm workers that immigrated here to the Central Valley in the early 1970s. I was blessed to be born in this country, but I was the daughter of undocumented parents until 1986 when Ronald Reagan gave amnesty. I remember the fear that I grew up in the living rooms, the fear that our families and our workers behind me now are again facing. I remember the conversations in our living room and at our kitchen table about what we would do if ICE came and one or both of my parents would leave. I remember with vivid memories the fear that I would go to school, not sure if when I came home my parents were going to be there. I was lucky and blessed because in the 80s we had comprehensive immigration reform. These folks and the folks we represent aren't that lucky. We've been fighting for years and years for a path forward towards citizenship, but more importantly to fix our broken immigration system. Before you today, because my parents fought through that fear, went out every day to work first in the farm labor fields of the Central Valley, and then when my mom was able to gain employment after she gained residency, she worked at a union shop at Foster Farms for over 15 years. That fear that motivated me back then is the courage that I have now to stand and fight for the workers that we have here. And make no mistake about it, this generation, our kids, my kids, are having their living room moment right now. I did not think that I was going to have the conversation with my children about what to do when ICE knocked on your door. But I also know what comes out on the other side. I'm a living testament of that, of turning that fear into courage. And so we stand here today to show some courage. We want to talk today about AB 450. It's the only piece of legislation that protects immigrants in the workforce. After the November election, we've been blessed to have leadership on both sides, in both houses, talk about protections for our undocumented immigrants. But the one place they're the most vulnerable in is the one place they need to live. They're most vulnerable in their workplace. And so AB 450 attempts to provide some security around making sure that immigrants can go to work and feel safe so that they come home to children like me every night. Thank you. Today I am honored to introduce to you our champion, the author of this bill, and someone who has fought for us tooth and nail as we navigate the halls of justice here with this piece of legislation. I want to introduce to you Assemblymember David Chu.
Thank you, Alma. Thank you, SCIU. Good morning. Buenos dias. I first want to start not just by thanking the labor leadership that's here, SCIU and the California Labor Federation, but I want to thank our janitors. We have janitors here in the house. I want to thank our security guards. We have security guards here in the house. You are doing some of the hardest work in California. I know this in part because the very first job I had between high school and college, I was a janitor. And I made in 1987 the minimum wage of $3.35. And we as Californians cannot thank you enough for everything you are doing. You are getting the work done. Our immigrant workers are getting the work done. We are here because a war has been declared on us. We wouldn't be here talking about this bill, AB 450, if Donald Trump had not declared war on workers, if he had not declared war on immigrants, and if he had not declared war on California values. AB 450 is about standing up for California immigrant workers. It's a very dark day for our country. I know all of us are thinking about the horrific, inhumane, reprehensible decision made by President Trump yesterday to go after our dreamers, to turn back DACA. Well, let me tell you, 97% of DACA dreamers are either in school or in workplaces. We know that Donald Trump, if he's going to come after our dreamers, he's going to have to find them in our workplaces. And this is why, again, this bill is so incredibly important. Let me just close with one thought. As a son of immigrants, as somebody who used to be an immigrant rights attorney, we can't do this alone. Because these times are dark, because a war has been brought to our immigrant workers. Recently, there was an eclipse in our country where in certain parts of the country, it went completely dark. And I have to ask you, doesn't it feel that way right now? It feels like there's a cloud over our country, a cloud over our state. Early societies, the earliest human cultures, when eclipses happened, they were concerned that an evil had taken over the life-affirming force of the sun. But let me remind us on this sunny day here in California, the sun, the forces of love and compassion are behind this evil. And if we gather together, if we unite as brothers and sisters, as we say we are all dreamers of a world that should be, as we say that we are all immigrants, and as we say we're all immigrant workers, we stand together, we stand united, and we will pass AB 450. ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? Thank you so very much.
Who arrived here in the late 60s as a young girl. My father was a vineyard worker in the Napa Valley, and I started picking grapes alongside my family in the Napa Valley. Now I'm at the helm of one of a highly respected brand, Serra Vineyards, and thanks to number one, Los Campesinos, the farm workers, is the reason why Napa and Sonoma Valleys produce some of the most renowned wines in the world. And without the farm workers, we wouldn't have a wine industry nor food on our table. And as a human being, I care very deeply about everybody. I care very deeply about the fear that a lot of these amazing contributors to our state have of being deported to their country of origin. So I support AB 450 because it's the right thing to do for the undocumented workers and for California. Everyone here today, we all share something in common, and that is the desire of our adopted country to be treated with dignity and respect. So I encourage Sacramento legislatures to pass AB 450 for everybody. It's the right thing to do. Muchísimas gracias.
My name is Jennifer Egan. I'm the president of the California Faculty Association. We represent more than 28,000 tenure-line professors, lecturers, counselors, and coaches and librarians on the 23 campuses of the California State University system. We also call ourselves the CSU, the People's University. Yesterday was a really tough day for many of our students. There's a lot of tears on our campuses. There's a lot of uncertainty. On Labor Day, I found myself talking to some of my faculty colleagues. I'm also a professor at Cal State East Bay. We were at the Labor Day March in Oakland. And we were talking as people who study politics and history and ethnic studies and philosophy. We were talking as people who study these things, how did we get here? It feels a little bit like we're in 1930s Germany, frankly. We started talking about our students. What's going to happen to them? We started surveying our own faculty members about who has a spare room. That's where we are, seriously. And the faculty are going to be on the front lines of the CSU. We have thousands of DACA students on our campuses. And it is going to be the faculty who will see these young lives dismantled by this terrible racist policy.
We are with Roberto Camacho, who is with SEIU. Roberto, what do you do for a living?
I work for the county at the Human Services Agency. I'm a supervisor. I'm also a student and e-board member, executive board at the local 721 SEIU.
So tell me a little bit about some of the issues that your colleagues and your brothers and sisters in the SEIU are facing that would be solved by this bill.
One of them is our core value is immigration. So having the AB 450 in place would assure those security layers for people who work and that are undocumented, but protecting them. So following guidelines that immigration cannot just show to their work and overnight they're on the other country that they've been deported. So this is an important bill that protects them. They protect their security, their peace of mind, so they can go to work every day just to earn not necessarily a living, but a survival, just to bring food to the table to their families every day.
So, you touched on the next thing I was going to ask you about, and that's having that peace of mind. Without that, what does it mean for these folks?
There's no words, but it's so much fear every day just to drive to work, just to drive to the groceries. So I do have family members who are undocumented, so they share with me their stories. So that's what I'm here to be, that voice for them. And where I live, there's a lot of farms, so I know my community is suffering. I know what it means to go to the store just to look everywhere and panic. So you're constantly in panic. So it is a living that nobody deserves that, honestly.
And the thing I keep thinking about is you're talking about living in fear and panic, constantly looking over your shoulder.
Correct. Even if they wanted it to be here where I'm at, they wouldn't risk it. They don't know if immigration is going to be across the street. So that's what I mean. They cannot have a normal living. They cannot live like any other citizen. They are limited by fear.
Well, how much of that are you seeing where ICE agents are planted around like that?
It's coming. I heard of that through my clients. They're dropping their cases. They're afraid to be in programs. So the numbers are going low. There's no people in the fields. I used to drive and be in traffic. Now, it takes me nothing to get to work. So there's people really hiding everywhere.
All right. Roberto, thanks so much for that. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And we're with Dan Weiser of Weiser Family Farms that has a facility in Bakersfield, another one in the Lucerne Valley, and you employ a lot of people. When it comes to immigration issues, as an employer, what are some of the most common difficulties you face?
Well, we the first thing is just trying to qualify them as valid employees. So you have to make sure you check their paperwork, make sure all the papers are in order. We do a lot of hiring by referral. So that's why I build a good, solid, safe work environment. People are going to refer other people to me. So I have the luxury of having a very, very stable workplace. My employees stay with us, not just for one season, they stay with us for multiple seasons. So I've had the same employees for years, and it's not by chance. And so, I do not need, the ICE agents to be coming in and upsetting the apple cart. I mean, it's not just for my employees, but their family members. So even if they have all their papers, but another family member doesn't. Do you think their mind's going to be on their work while they're at my place? No, they're going to be thinking about what's going on with their family. So, I think AB 450 is so important, and that's why when they asked me to speak, I was happy to do it.
Well, and how are these things affecting, your workers? You've touched on it, and their ability to do their jobs. I mean, do you have cases where, because they're concerned, you got people that don't show up to work?
Absolutely. We just recently had a melon crop that we were trying to bring to market, and we had probably a big field coming in, and we expected a certain number of employees to show up, and we had a fraction of them, and so we ended up leaving a lot of melons in the field where we could have taken it to market. And we're a small family business, and we count every penny that comes in, and we need every penny. So no, this is not good.
I imagine that's typical of the farming life. It is all down to the penny, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You can't find tighter margins than in farming. That's for sure.
It's tough. Even in retail gasoline, where they make like a penny a gallon profit, it's probably not as tight as what you guys deal with. Yeah. So, what will it mean to you then to have this added legal protection?
Well, it gives me peace of mind. It gives me peace of mind that I can communicate to my employees that what they've grown accustomed to, working for us all this time is going to continue, and that they don't have to look over their shoulders every day when they decide whether or not they're going to be able to come to work. So no, this is vital. I've never feared having rules set, as long as they're very clear, easy to follow, and everybody has to follow them. Then I'm good, because I'm all about the people.
Very good. Dan Weiser with Weiser Family Farms. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.